Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 2, episode 14. On today's episode, I will be showing y'all my NFL tiers through week 12. Remember, I did it through week 6 a couple weeks ago, and now I'm gonna do it through week 12, and then of course I do it through week 18. So every 6 weeks, and then I'm gonna do my week 13 picks. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do for today. Today's a very short and sweet episode, but I'm gonna still get y'all some really good content. All right, so let's go ahead and get straight to the point. But first, as usual, I just want to thank God for waking me up this morning and allowing me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. Without him, I would not be here right now. So let's get down to business. All right, my tiers through week 12. Okay, so we're going from bottom to top. All right, bottom being, of course, some of the worst teams, and of course at the top we have the best team. All right, I named these tiers based off of what these teams are going through, what's going on through this with their season, what their future looks like, etc. All right, so we start with the bottom. We have the Patriots, the Panthers, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Bears, and the Commanders. This tier is called the countdown to draft night because that's all they have to look forward to, right? All of these teams, their seasons are over with. They're just playing games to kind of figure out who am I going to move forward with, who am I going to move on from, right? So these basically are auditions. That's it. What every game is from here on out is an audition for every single player to see if you're going to be a part of this process of us getting from where we are now to better. All right. So, like I said, the Patriots, the Panthers, Cardinals, Giants, Bears, and Commanders are all counting down to draft night. All right. My next tier, I got the blow it up tier. All right, the blow it up tier. This tier, I believe all four teams need to start from scratch. One of them already started. The Raiders already fired Josh McDaniels. All right, so we're going to see what else they do in the upcoming offseason, but this season's over with right now. Hopefully their interim head coach, I cannot think of his name right now, but hopefully he can keep the job because they've looked better ever since they fired Josh McDaniels. We're looking at the Titans, all right? Mike Vrabel is going to stay. He's a great head coach, but you're moving on to Will Levis now. DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, some of the best players on your team are a little older now. So you might want to look to move these players, trade these players. Like your future with Will Levis might be bright. He looked pretty good throughout this year since he got the start, since Ryan Tannehill got hurt. But I think that you need to kind of move on from Derrick Henry, D-Hop, the older kind of players to get some compensation, get some draft picks, and start fresh. And Mike Vrabel is the guy for the job. The Chargers, all right, Brandon Staley got to go. All right, me and Logan talked about this earlier this season, how we don't know how he made it to this season. And this season, you're seeing that he just can't get the job done. All right, the Chargers are in a tough situation because Brandon Staley runs the defense, right? Some games the defense look terrible. And the offense scores a lot of points, but they get outscored because the defense can't get a stop. Then some games, the defense looked good, like just this past week against the Ravens. The defense looked good, all right, but you couldn't get the job done, and Lamar Jackson ended up winning that game because offensively, you couldn't get points on the board. So it's really every game will point the finger at Brandon Staley or Justin Herbert. Well, you just paid Justin Herbert, so Justin Herbert's not going anywhere. So you might want to go ahead and just fire Brandon Staley, move on from that. And then I think Keenan Allen's getting older. You might want to move him to a team that's ready to win now because this team is not ready to win. I thought they would be better than what they are right now, but you might want to move some key pieces. The Joey Bosa's of the world, because he's not the same. You might want to move Keenan Allen. Michael Williams stay hurt. You might want to move him. So I think you have to start moving some players, get some draft picks back, and start fresh. But keep Justin Herbert. Then the Bills. The Bills are they're not a bad team, but I think they hit their ceiling. Their ceiling was remember that game in the playoffs against the Chiefs a couple years ago, the divisional round, I believe. It was the game where the Chiefs had 13 seconds to come back and tie the game, went to overtime. Then Mahomes got the ball. They went and scored. Josh Allen never got the ball back. That's why they changed the overtime rule, right? That game was the highlight of the Bills for the past 3 years, right? So looking at that, I'm saying that this team has hit their ceiling. And ever since that game a couple years ago, they've gotten worse and worse every single year. Last year, they lost early in the playoffs, and this year, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. All right, not saying they're not going to make it, but most likely they're not. So I think that the Bills need to fire Sean McDermott. All right, Sean McDermott, I think, like I said, he's hit his ceiling. He's got this team as good as he could get them, and then nothing more he can do. So I think it's time to move on from him. We got to keep Josh Allen. I understand people hate the interceptions, but it's a lot of good that comes with a lot of bad. All right, so if you can find a coach that can kind of maintain, keep the bad in a short sample size, then you'll be good to go. So this team, I think, needs to start over, move a couple pieces. Von Miller's getting older. Stephon Diggs, you might want to keep him, but that could be somebody to look at, right? He's had a couple of issues with the team over the past couple of years when it came to like the drama aspect of it. He's balling out, no questions asked, but is he creating tension in the locker room, right? Remember a couple of weeks ago, his brother came out and said the Bills need to move Stephon Diggs. So, hey, maybe you need to move him and get a new feel, but keep Josh Allen for sure. All right, so that's the blow it up tier: Chargers, Titans, Raiders, and Bills. All right, this next tier is the could have, would have, should have tier. All right, this season could have been good, it would have been good, and it should have been good if all three of these teams didn't suffer a major injury. All right, with the Browns, Nick Chubb got hurt early in the year. I thought it was done. Deshaun Watson kind of started looking a little bit like Deshaun. Then he gets hurt, right? So their season's done. And then you look at the Jets, all right? The Jets with Aaron Rodgers getting hurt the first game of the season. I knew the season was done. All right, you've seen ever since then, they just cannot put wins together. They have a couple of wins, but they're not good enough. They're not going to make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, please don't come back this year because there's no need. All right, the team is done. Look forward to next year. You have a good team, just don't have a quarterback, right? And you are that missing piece. So I think this team will be back next year. But really, all three of these teams will be back next year. But this year, they suffered major injuries, and it could have, would have, and should have been a good year. All right, the next tier going up, surprisingly good. These three teams are surprisingly good in this point of the season. All right, the Colts, I did not think they would be in the conversation for the playoffs. All right, they are in the wild card as we speak right now. They are in the wild card, but of course, they're still fighting with a couple of teams to make sure they secure that spot. Right, Shane Steichen has done a great job coming from Philadelphia. He was the OC last year in Philly. Came over here. Anthony Richardson got hurt. Remember that Anthony Richardson got hurt, but they still moved on with Gardner Minshew, and clearly he's a good offensive mind because he has his offense rolling. All right, Jonathan Taylor got hurt, so that might take a tough toll on the team. But you saw Zach Moss was balling earlier this year, so he might be able to continue that for the next couple of weeks until Jonathan Taylor gets back. All right, the Packers. Jordan Love had, I think, his first 3 weeks, I want to say he had like 8 touchdowns and 1 interception, something along those lines. And everybody thought Jordan Love was the next coming of Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. I was going to continue. Well, since then, he hasn't been looking too great. But the past couple of weeks, they've been on a little win streak. I think they've won the last three of the last 4 games, I believe. And they're going into this week against the Chiefs. It could get a big upset. You never know. It's in Lambeau. But surprisingly, they are in the playoff talks right now. I thought they would not be a playoff team this year. But surprisingly, they're pretty good. All right. And then the Vikings. The Vikings started off the season. Before the season started, I said I think they're going to win division because they're the only like consistent team, right? You got the Lions trying to get better. You got the Bears trying to get better. And you got the Packers restarting with Jordan Love. The Vikings are the only team that over the past couple of years has been pretty consistent. Right, so looking at the Vikings, I was like, they're going to be good this year. The first couple of games come around, I believe they're like 0-4, 0-3, something along those lines. And then Kirk Cousins gets hurt, and I thought the season was done. But Josh Dobbs came in and gave this team life. They did lose 2 straight, though. They lost to the Broncos and the Bears, so they're trending in the wrong direction. But surprisingly, they are good right now. They are in a spot where they can still make the playoffs. And that's just a surprise to me because I thought the season was over, especially when Kirk Cousins went down. All right, so that's a surprisingly good tier. The next tier is the Spider-Man meme. A lot of y'all seen the Spider-Man meme all over social media. The meme where there's 3 Spider-Mans and they're all pointing at each other, right? This is what the NFC South is right now, except for the Carolina Panthers, of course. Tampa Bay, the Saints, and the Falcons. All 3 of these teams, to me, they give me the same vibe. If you told me to put these teams in order from best to worst, it's kind of like it's like 1A, 1B, 1C because all of these teams have a lot of weaknesses and very little upside. But one of these teams got to make the playoffs. One of these teams have got to win the division, so one of these teams will automatically be in no matter what the record is. They just got to have the best record in their own division, all right? So this is Spider-Man meme. One team got to make the playoffs, and it's going to be out of these 3 for the NFC South division, all right? The next tier moving up, we got surprise, all right? This tier, all 3 of these teams, I am very shocked that they're probably going to make the playoffs. Okay, I'm looking at the Rams, the Texans, and the Broncos. All right, the Rams, I don't even know why I counted them out. Forgetting that last year Matthew Stafford was hurt. This year he comes back and this team looks completely different. Kyron Williams is a star running back that came out of nowhere. You still got Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. All right, the defense led by Aaron Donald will always be a threat as long as Aaron Donald is playing elite football. Sean McVay is a great offensive mind. I don't know why I counted them out, but I'm very surprised that they might just make the playoffs this year. And it might be a tough outing for whoever plays in the first round because I think this team is very scary being an underdog going to whoever they go and play in the first round. The Texans, nobody thought they would be here right now. All right, I came before this year started. I said 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years and they'll be good, all right? But they've already exceeded expectations. They're already in the playoff hunt. They're probably going to make the playoffs. That's why these 3 teams are above the Colts, Packers, and Vikings. Because I don't think the Colts, Packers, and Vikings are going to make it. But surprisingly, they have a chance. these three teams, surprise, surprise, they're probably going to make it for sure. So looking at the Texans, like C.J. Stroud playing out of his mind. A lot of people think he's the MVP candidate. A lot of people think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. I can't argue with any of those, right? I could probably argue with the MVP thing because y'all know I think that players outside of the quarterback position should win this year. But the Texans are looking good right now, man. And this week they actually play the Broncos. That's gonna be a huge matchup because they're both trying to make that wild card push. Then the Broncos, when they let up 70 points, when they let the Dolphins score 70 points, everybody threw in the towel on them, including myself, because that's just not. It doesn't happen, right? You don't see teams put up 70 points in the NFL. The fact that it happened, I'm thinking, okay, this Broncos team is a joke. It's not the real deal. But they've won, I believe, 5 straight games, or looking to put up 6 straight against Houston in Houston this upcoming weekend. I'm very convinced that this team is going to make the playoffs because they've been playing very good football over the past couple of weeks. So I'll admit that I threw in the towel. But now I'm seeing that they are catching fire. Russell Wilson's playing good. They're playing through the run game, letting Russ play off the play action. And then defensively, they're causing turnovers. Vance Joseph got this defense going. Hey, I don't see why this team cannot make the playoffs. They should make it. I think the AFC wild card is going to be between the Ravens, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Texans, and the Bills. All right, the Bills might make it, all right, but I think these 3 teams for sure are going to make it, and that's a surprise to me because before this season started, I didn't have any of these teams making the playoffs, all right? Next tier, playoff locks. All right, these 2 teams are not necessarily this low on the tier, but between the Steelers and the Ravens, somebody got to win division. People think that the Ravens have the number 1 seed locked up, or they have the division locked up. That's not true at all. The Ravens have a couple of tough games coming up. They got to play the 49ers, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins, I believe. Then they got to play Pittsburgh the last game of the season. Pittsburgh has a very easy schedule finishing this year, but I know Pittsburgh. We're probably going to drop a game, and then the Ravens probably going to lose a game, and it's going to be they probably lose 2 games, sorry. And then that last game of the season is going to be for division. And I tell y'all all the time, Lamar Jackson has his worst game of the year when he plays the Steelers. So I have every reason to believe that the Steelers can still win this division, and the Ravens can still win the division as well, right? You never know how it's going to go, but these 2 teams are going to make the playoffs for sure. I just don't know how. I don't know who's going to win the division, and I don't know who's going to have that 5th seed probably in the wild card. Of course, hoping that neither team just falls off dramatically, right? Both these teams are en route to play week 18 for the division. One of them is going to win the AFC North, and one of them is going to be the 5th seed. All right, so those 2 are playoff locks, my Steelers and the Ravens. All right, the next tier we got this is the Fool's Gold and the Bullies tier. All right, I didn't want to put too many tiers, so I kind of combined these 2. The Fool's Gold is the Lions and the Seahawks. All right, the Seahawks are 500 right now. They're 6-6. Right, it's not a bad record, but I think that people that believe that they're a really good team, it's Fool's Gold. I don't think that's true at all. Just like the Lions. The Lions have a really good record, but people thinking that the Lions are one of the top teams in the NFC, to me, that's just not true. I told y'all earlier this year, the Lions need time. Let them get 1 more year under their belts. Next year, they'll be serious contenders. This year, they're making the playoffs, no doubt. They're probably going to win their division, no doubt. But they're not really a threat to the Eagles and the 49ers. And to me, maybe not even Dallas. But I think that the Lions can I think they're going to be good this year for sure, make the playoffs. But I think next year is the year we're going to really look at them and say, okay, you can really battle for the NFC. Even though we're not going to pick them over the 49ers and Eagles, I just think we're a year too early on the Lions hype. All right, I love what they're doing, love what Dan Campbell has done, but I don't think this team is ready to make a Super Bowl run. And that's what people thought in the beginning of the year. People thought they was one of the best teams in the league. But I don't believe that. I think they are definitely good, but not that good. So it's Fool's Gold. Them and the Seahawks. The Bullies, the Cowboys and the Dolphins. The Cowboys, just Thursday night, they beat the Seahawks. Seahawks had a winning record. They have not beat a team with a winning record. I believe it's 53 weeks or 58 weeks. It's one or the other, all right? I want to say that it's 53 weeks. But looking at this team, they're beating a bunch of bad teams, y'all. I can't make this up. I'm not hating on the Cowboys. They're just beating a bunch of bad teams. And then they played the Seahawks. And the Seahawks put up crazy numbers. And I can't even stress how bad that looks for this Dallas defense, because what Dallas had to lean on going into this year was their defense. But against teams above 500, right? They played 3 teams above 500, the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Seahawks. They allowed 35 points per game. They allowed 373 yards per game. That's not a good look. And then against teams below 500, who they played majority of the year. Like I said, only 3 games against teams above 500. Below 500, they're allowing 12 points per game, allowing 258 yards per game, right? So they've had a very easy schedule. And with that being said, I have to label them as bullies because you're beating up on the bad teams, but then the good teams come around and you wet the bed. They wet the bed against the Eagles at the end of the game. They had a chance to go and win that game. Dak Prescott wet the bed. People keep using that game as a let me see what I'm trying to say as a positive for the Cowboys. That game was not a positive. They was in it with the Eagles. They got to the end and they literally wet the bed. That's not a positive. So people saying that they barely lost to the Eagles. No, that barely loss was like a big loss because of how they lost that game. All right, so they are bullies. Same thing with the Dolphins. The Dolphins are beating a bunch of bad teams. I came out a couple weeks ago and I said this team is not that good. I don't believe in the Dolphins. They're probably a first round, second round exit for sure. They will not be in the conference championship game. I can guarantee you that because they're losing to the good teams, but they're beating up on the bad teams. Same thing as the Cowboys. They're both bullies. All right. The next tier, I got the IDK tier. I don't know. Okay, I don't know how I feel about the Chiefs or the Jaguars. The Chiefs, to me, their receivers are going to get them hurt in the future. The drop passes, the Mahomes just doesn't have the weapons to his disposal that you want to put. When you have a quarterback like Mahomes, you want to invest in receivers, invest in tight ends. He only has one reliable source at that position, at those positions, and that's Travis Kelce. Rashee Rice is on his way. He's coming. But I think that the offense is not what it used to be. The defense is great. But you saw the Raiders went up 14-0 in a heartbeat, real quick. Mahomes finally turned it up and came back and won, but they beat the Raiders. I can't say the season got turned around or this is the old Chiefs just because they beat the Raiders, right? So with that being said, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about the Chiefs. Mahomes is great. Do not get it twisted. But as a whole, I don't know how I feel about this team. The Jaguars. I thought coming into this year, Trevor Lawrence will be an MVP candidate. He'll be airing the ball out. This team will be putting up points, but they're not doing that. They're winning ugly football games, right? And because of that, I don't think they're as big of a threat as I thought they would be. All right, Calvin really being added to this offense. I thought this offense would be top 5 elite, but it's just not. Trevor Lawrence is not playing at the MVP level. Doug Peterson doing a great job, right? Game man, because Trevor Lawrence is more of a game manager than he is an elite quarterback right now, right? And then defensively, Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, two good edge rushers that are keeping this defense afloat. Right, they're pretty good against the run. I bet top 5 against the run, but I don't know about these two teams. Neither one of them scare me that much. Chiefs do not scare me like they did last year, and the Jaguars definitely do not scare me. So this is the IDK tier. Next tier going up, championship contenders. Really championship automatic. This 49ers team is going to be in the NFC Championship. There's only 2 teams I can guarantee is going to be in the NFC in the championship weekend. Sorry. The AFC is wide open to me. Anybody can make the AFC Championship. But for the NFC, there's only 2 teams that's going. The 49ers are going for sure. All right, with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy playing great football at quarterback. And as long as Trent Williams is healthy, as long as his team is healthy, they can beat anybody. This team is very dangerous. I'm scared of this team. Right, the defense is, and now they added Chase Young. They have 2 great edge rushers, and Chase Young and Nick Bosa. They still have Javon Hargrave, Randy Gregory. They still have Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Hufanga got hurt, but I think that defense up front can compensate for them losing a great safety. And then you got your various Wards still at corner. This team is great, all around great, but they're not the best team in the league. And the next tier, we're going with the Super Bowl champs. Just give them the championship already. Give them the Lombardi because it's over with. Okay, Jalen Hurts to me is playing like the best quarterback in the league right now. Not statistically, but in the fourth quarter, when it comes down to the money quarters, right, the quarter where you got to have it, that quarter where you need your best players to stand up and make plays, Jalen Hurts is that guy. He is Mr. Fourth Quarter, literally. All right, in the fourth quarter, he looks like Tom Brady, right? Throughout the game, might not be pretty. Sometimes, some games, it is pretty from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. But the games where it's not pretty, as long as they're within a touchdown or 2, as long as they're within 2 possessions, they're going to win that game because Jalen Hurts knows how to put teams away, and he knows how to come back in games and win it for his team. He's just a winner. This team all around is a winner. I love Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts is going to be one of the most dangerous coach in quarterback duos in all of NFL history. All right, I'm stamping that right now. I'm making that statement right now. They will be one of the best coach and quarterback duos for years to come. Okay, this is 2 straight years where they have only lost 1 game through the first 12 weeks, I believe. right? So these two are going to be dangerous moving forward. This team is already Super Bowl champs, in my opinion. The defense is stacked up front. People talk about the secondary. Secondary is weak, but guess what? You have a defensive front that helps the secondary, right? Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. You have these dogs up front that helps the secondary, but the secondary still makes plays. Look against Kansas City. Who punched the ball out of Travis Kelce's hands for that fumble? A secondary member. Who got the interception on Mahomes in the red zone? A secondary member. Who got the interception last week against Josh Allen that led to a quick touchdown? Somebody in the secondary, right? The secondary is still making plays. James Bradbury and Darius Slay are not scrubs. Yes, they're giving up tons of yards. Yes, they're making quarterbacks look like MVPs. Yes, they're making receivers look good, but they make plays when they need to. And that's the scary part about this team. Their weakness is still a threat, in my opinion, because they can cause turnovers. All right, so that's my tiers for through week 12. I'm gonna do it again after week 18, heading into the playoffs. All right. So next we're gonna go ahead and do my week 13 picks, y'all. I am hot, and Logan is hot as well. Right now, I am 116 and 65, and Logan is 121 and 58. So I'm like 7 games behind Logan. I'm right behind you, dog. So don't get comfortable. Don't think you the man yet. I'm right behind you. Slip up a little bit for me. Slip up, and I'm coming. Like Deion said, I'm coming. All right. So let's go ahead and get to my picks this week. This week I'm going to go. Well, I did go with the Cowboys on Thursday night. I knew that the Seahawks just don't have enough. Geno Smith played great, no doubt about it. But the Cowboys just a better team, and they came out on top. All right, so going into this weekend, we got the Colts and the Titans. I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going with the Titans. I think this Jonathan Taylor injury is going to take a toll on this team because they started rolling when Jonathan Taylor got back, right? But now that he's hurt again, I think the Titans can get an upset at home against the Colts. This might be, I'm still waiting for one of them Derrick Henry games. It hasn't come yet, so I got to assume that's going to happen the next week. I think it's going to happen this week, all right? Derrick Henry's going to go crazy on that Colts defense, and I think that the Titans will win at home in a close game. Next, we got the Chargers and the Patriots. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this game. Okay, the Chargers have disgusted me, all right? This is a very talented roster with a terrible coach, and the coach has ruined this team. All right, you look around the league, you see the Mike Tomlins, the D'Amico Ryans, the Kevin O'Connells, right? The Sean McVays, those coaches that don't really have an elite roster are putting up elite records, right? You look at Mike Tomlin, right, and D'Amico Ryans, they really don't have much on offense, but they're both defensive-minded coaches that have their defense balling right now. This Brandon Staley is not an offensive-minded coach; he's a defensive-minded coach. Right, but the defense looks bad. This team looks bad, so I'm going with the Patriots. You know, the Patriots are a bad team as well. Patriots at home, I'm just picking them over the Chargers. I just don't trust the Chargers to get the job done now. All right, I've lost my faith in them. I'm going with the Patriots for the upset. All right. Next, we got the Lions and the Saints. All right, I'm going with the Lions. I think the Lions are the better team. All right, the Saints, I think Chris Olave is playing. He's on concussion protocol, but I think he's playing. But I still think the Lions are the better team. Not saying it's going to be a blowout. It might be a close game, but the Lions on the road, I still want to take them because they got to start putting up wins to secure one of the top 2 spots. Because I think I believe right now they're either 2 or 3 right now. And I think they got to start winning more games, do not start slipping down that totem pole, keep putting up wins. I got the Lions against the Saints. All right, the Falcons and the Jets, I got the Falcons. The Jets are just trash on offense, all right? They have no offense whatsoever, whether it's Tim Boyle or Zach Wilson. All right, the offense is just atrocious. They can't put up points, which makes the defense be on the field too long, and other teams' offenses eventually is going to get a rhythm. All right, so this might be one of the Bijan Robinson games. Guess what? I'm going to keep running the ball on the Jets, keep wearing them out because I know my defense is going to get the ball back. So as long as we keep wearing out the defense, Bijan eventually is going to get loose. So I got the Falcons over the Jets. All right, next we got the Cardinals and the Steelers. I'm going with my Steelers. All right, the Steelers have looked good over the past couple of weeks. Don't let that Cleveland Browns loss fool y'all. Okay, we lost that game 10-13 because Kenny Pickett had a bad game. All right, ever since Matt Canada got fired a week ago, the next game against the Bengals, the offense put up a lot of yards, but we're still not putting up points because Kenny Pickett is still not playing great football. He's not playing good football right now. All right, this is one of them games where he can get a rhythm. He can get momentum going, hopefully, to finish out this year on this last stretch because the Cardinals is just not a good team. The Cardinals don't have enough. The Cardinals offensively don't have enough. Defensively don't have enough. This is the team, like I said, looking forward to next year. So the Steelers take care of business at home against a weak Cardinals team. All right, TJ Watt might just have an MVP performance on Sunday. All right. Next, we got the Dolphins and the Commanders. I'm going with the Dolphins. All right. Once again, the Dolphins beat up on bad teams. The Commanders is a bad team, so I got the Dolphins winning this game easily. The Broncos and the Texans. This is a huge game, y'all. This is a big game. This game is really determining who gonna make the wild card because they're fighting each other. And I got the Broncos winning this game. The Broncos have been red hot. All right, the Texans, they dropped one last week to the Jaguars that they probably shouldn't have. And the Texans also dropped one to Carolina earlier this year. So the Texans are getting in their own way. I think this is one of them games where the Texans might just get in their own way again. Not saying the Texans are worse than the Broncos. I think both of these teams are pretty much equal, but I'm going with the coach, Sean Payton. I'm going with Russell Wilson. Those two, that combination I'm going to take right now over C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. Right now. I'm talking about right now, not in the future. Probably next year, I'll go D'Amico with CJ. But right now, I'm going with the red-hot Sean Payton and Russell Wilson team. I'm going with the Denver Broncos. All right. The Panthers and the Buccaneers. Going with the Buccaneers. And once again, the Panthers looking forward to next year. The Buccaneers trying to win this division. This is a must-win game for them. I'm going with the Bucs at home. Next, we got the Browns and the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. The Browns, without Deshaun Watson, they're done. Okay, right now they're in the playoffs, but I promise y'all they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to deteriorate. They're going to fall off week by week. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, not the answer. P.J. Walker is not the answer. Joe Flacco starting this weekend for the Browns. He's also not the answer. So I'm going with the Rams at home because they're trying to get in the playoffs as well. The 49ers and the Eagles. This is the game of the year, okay? Last year, remember, the 49ers went to Philly and Brock Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship, and all we've been hearing is if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, they would have won that game. I was going for the 49ers in that game because last year, if y'all remember, I picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. But the Eagles beat them. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick the Eagles to win the Super Bowl because I think they have a better team than the Chiefs. Jalen Hurts outplays Mahomes. They lost. But this year, I've been on the Eagles bandwagon this year, the whole entire year. Jalen Hurts is that guy, and he's going to prove it again this week. He's taking out the top teams in the NFL. He took out the Chiefs. He took out the Cowboys. He took out the Bills, who have a top roster. They're not playing good right now, but he took out the Bills. Now he's going to take out the 49ers at home. This is must-see TV. Make sure y'all tune in and watch Jalen Hurts because he's going to show y'all why I said he's the best quarterback in the league against a tough defense and Nick Bosa, Chase Young, and all them guys. Jalen Hurts is about to be the man amongst boys on Sunday. All right, so I got the Eagles at home against the 49ers. Next, we got the Chiefs and the Packers on Sunday Night Football. I'm going with the Chiefs. All right, yes, the Packers, I could see an upset happening. I could see it, right? But I'm going to be safe, play it safe, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs, all right? I think the Chiefs last year, they found some life, right? But they're playing a team that I don't really have a lot of faith in. So I think that they can keep that momentum going into this week at Lambeau against Jordan Love and the Packers. Hey, if they lose, but I'm not going to take a risk. I already took my risk this week by picking what's the upset that I picked? I believe I picked the Broncos. I believe that's the upset. And I picked the Patriots. That's an upset. Yeah, I can't pick another upset. So I got to go with the Chiefs over the Packers, all right? And then last but not least, the Monday Night Football game between the Bengals and the Jaguars. I'm going with the Jaguars in an easy win because with no Joe Burrow, this Bengals team is not the same. So I'm going with Trevor Lawrence at home against the Bengals. And that is it for my Week 13 picks, all right? And that's also it for the episode today. I told y'all today will be short and sweet. Yes, I still went to I still ended up going like 30 minutes, right? But I do think that it was quicker than normal, right? It was just two subjects, two topics, all right? So I just want to keep it short for y'all. But that's it for today, y'all. I'm going to see y'all next week. Y'all enjoy this weekend. 49ers and Eagles. Must-see TV. Y'all got to see it. Y'all got to watch that game. It's going to be game of the week, probably game of the year. Like I said, let's watch Jalen Hurts show y'all why I said he is the best quarterback in all of football, all right? But y'all stay safe this weekend. Much love. I'm out.